future where differences of opinion and debate are encouraged, not canceled, where law enforcement is respected, where our country's rich diversity is celebrated, and where people of all backgrounds, races, genders, and creeds have the chance to achieve their God-given potential. This is the future my father is working to build each and every day.
Look, we know who she is. We know what she stands for. All of this is hot garbage.
The state of racism will never die. But what we cannot do is allow it to conquer us as people. We can't allow it to divide us. The guy in control has given people in racism, in negative racism, an opportunity to be out and outspoken without fear.
Meanwhile, athletes like LeBron James speak out against Ivanka and the like.
And by the way, LeBron James, you can have him.
While Trump uses LeBron as a tool for his own gain.
Hi, LeBron. I'm Ivanka Trump.
I'm Donald Trump Jr.
Please come to New York. Come on, LeBron. If you come to New York, you'll be king of the boardroom, as we know you're already king of the court.
We need you to play in the greatest city, in the greatest arena, for the greatest fans anywhere in the world. You can do it.
Come on, LeBron.
It was not long ago Nepo baby Donald Trump Jr., along with Ivanka, practically begged LeBron to come to New York and play for the Knicks. It is endless hypocrisy with these people.
He is our commander-in-chief, champion of the American worker, defender of common sense, and our voice for the forgotten men and women of this country. He is our president and my father, Donald J. Trump.
Incredible, considering your eyes and ears don't deceive you when hearing her daddy.
This is another reason why I think all of us in our team have a tough time with the president, because it's instead of unifying and trying to calm the storm, he's creating it over and over again.
Pay heed to these words from Warriors head coach Steve Kerr. Trump is not a unifier, he is a divider.
I think immigration is incredibly complex as a topic. We are a country of laws. We have to be very careful about incentivizing behavior that puts children at risk of being trafficked.
She should really read the room next time. Let's not forget the archival footage NBC uncovered from a time, 1992, when the famed financier chatted it up and shared laughs with Donald Trump himself at Mar-a-Lago. It would be roughly 10 years prior to the financier's guilty plea. Trump points at NFL cheerleaders of the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins dancing at his estate, and the man to his left looks on in straight amusement.
I don't think most Americans in their heart want to be given something. So I think this idea of a guaranteed minimum is not something most people want. They want the ability to be able to secure a job. They want the ability to live in a country where there's the potential for upward mobility.
What?
A+ reaction from the guys at the Majority Report, because it's just an absurd thing to say. She just misses over and over and over again. Basically,
there's no level of status and there's no accomplishment or power that will protect you from the clutches of inequality. One cannot simply outperform inequality or be excellent enough to escape discrimination of any kind.
Ivanka and her ilk do not think twice about stuff like this. Only word salads to benefit themselves.
There are literally close to 1 million people in the federal government who are in the pipeline to get their permanent clearance and are on temporary status.
So no special treatment?
No.
Oh, for sure. No preferential treatment at all.
The number one job in America, the point of person, is someone who doesn't understand the people and really don't give a about the people.
It's true, especially when he continues to misuse his power and ration it off to his kids. Ivanka, Jared, Trump Jr., Eric, none of them should ever have a security clearance.
Yes, but this is about social justice. And if
it's all, yeah.
As soon as you start talking about the economic aspect of it, though, a lot of people start listening who wouldn't otherwise listen.
And the same with the defense side of it.
Yeah.
In terms of the whole sort of business. It's been very male-dominated.
Which led to embarrassing moments such as these. Lest we forget, when the insurrectionists stormed the Capitol, which led to one rioter and multiple officers losing their lives, Ivanka would send a tweet calling them patriots. LeBron put it well in the aftermath.
We live in two Americas, and that was prime example of that yesterday. And if you don't understand that or don't see that after seeing what you saw yesterday, then you really need to take a step back, not even just one step, maybe 4 or 5 or even 10 steps backwards, and ask yourself, how do you want your kids, or how do you want your grandkids? How do we want America to be viewed as? How do we want to live, in this beautiful country?
He is tough and he is persevering. He is honest and he is real. He's an optimist and he's a relentless believer in America and all of her potential. He loves his family and he loves his country with his heart and his soul.
Not one of these things is true, and she knows it.
I know people get tired of hearing me say it, but we are scared as Black people in America. Black men, Black women, Black kids, we are terrified.
And who is placing the target on their backs? In part, the former leader of the free world. Because at the end of the day,
I don't know what it means to be complicit.
she clearly has the IQ of her father. Before we get into it, if you can, please do become a channel member. Go to youtube.com/TYT Sports, click the join button. If that's too much and you want to support the network as a whole, go to tyt.com/join. It keeps us afloat, and we really appreciate the support. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I end with this. We saw how this family misused the powers that they had. We saw what happened over the past 4 years and how much of a threat they are to not just democracy, but everyone in the country. And to see someone like this, along with her husband and her brothers and her parents, and the conflicts of interest they have, is why they cannot be allowed to have a security clearance ever again. It is a misuse to the nth degree, and only we can stop it. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.
What more can be said than thank God we're here in Sunset Park to worship and bring back the greatest president we've ever known in our generation.
When you think about Jesus Christ himself, everybody went against him because he was preaching love and doing what was right for the people. And Trump's doing what's right for this nation, and because he's doing that, everybody is against him.
Conflating Christianity with right-wing politics has rotted the brains of so many of our fellow Americans that they believe this is what Jesus would do.
Carol was sitting there next in between two of her attorneys. She was holding the hands of one of her attorneys, and when the question came of, did they prove that Eugene Carroll proved that Trump had sexually abused her, and the answer was yes. You could see that she looked relieved. She was leaning forward at times. She, exchanged smiles with one of her attorneys.
Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C.
Nothing says Christian love and compassion for the oppressed quite like threatening to use the military against your own civilians instead of listening to their demands and empathizing with their plight.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world. But all over the world, they're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world. They're pouring into our country. Nobody's even looking at them. They just come in. The crime is going to be tremendous. The terrorism is going to be.
Notice how he didn't mention immigrants coming from Europe or Australia.
Illegal immigration is poisoning the blood of our nation. They're coming from prisons, from mental institutions, from all over the world. Without borders and fair elections, you don't have a country. Make America great again. We must win in 2024, or we will not have a nation. Thank you.
This is straight up schmozzy rhetoric out in the open, but the most troubling part is that it's resonating with the base, revealing that our country is much closer to full-blown fascism than the general public may have realized. And with clowns like this in Congress doing Trump's bidding, it's not a stretch to say we're at a precarious point in our country's history.
The Democrats and the fake news media want to constantly talk about, oh, President Trump is a convicted felon. Well, you want to know something? The man that I worship is also a convicted felon. And he was murdered on a Roman cross.
This wasn't the first time Marjorie Taylor Greene compared Trump to Jesus either.
President Trump is joining some of the most incredible people in history being arrested today. Nelson Mandela was arrested, served time in prison. Jesus was arrested and murdered by the Roman government. There have been many people throughout history that have been arrested and persecuted by radical, corrupt governments.
Marjorie told this completely insane take to now boyfriend Brian Glenn during Trump's arraignment last year, completely ignoring the context in which Trump, Nelson Mandela, and Jesus were arrested. Saying those names in a sentence together sounds so wrong, but that's the power of right-wing propaganda and the lack of wanting to dive deeper into the historical context.
When President Trump says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country, is that a statement you agree with?
That's not language I would use, but I understand the urgency of President Trump's admonition. He's been saying this since he ran for president the first time, that we have to secure the border. And I think the vast majority of the American people understand the necessity of that, and I think they agree with his position.
But that statement goes beyond what you are personally comfortable with.
It's not language I would use, but I understand.
It's not the language I use, but I still agree that immigrants are eroding the white supremacist foundation of our country is what Mike Johnson really wanted to say, since he knows he can't be as brazen with his racism as Trump can, though he has still tried his best.
Right here in Texas, Governor Abbott has heroically done more to enforce the law than the president has. And how has this administration responded? They have sued the state of Texas to stop their deterrence efforts. They have brought them to court to strike down their ability to put up buoys in the water and razor wire and the rest. It's absolute insanity.
With all of this context in mind, let's now turn to journalist Lauren Windsor of The Undercurrent and her bombshell report of secret audio recordings of Supreme Court Justices Samuel Alito and Chief Justice John Roberts, as well as Martha Ann Alito, Sam's wife. We'll be honing in on the Alito couple's recordings, but I highly recommend checking out all of them in full on Windsor's Twitter page to get a complete picture of the corruption that has captured the highest court in the country.
I don't know that we can negotiate with the left in the way that needs to happen for the polarization to end. I think that it's a matter of winning.
I think you're probably right. I think one side or the other is going to win. I don't know.
This is a sitting Supreme Court justice openly admitting that he can't be impartial to politics when it comes to his rulings, and there's evidence to back up this point.
Like, people in this country who believe in God have got to keep fighting for that, to return our country to a place of godliness.
Oh, I agree with you.
Again, Alito affirms that he personally wants to bring godliness back to America, once again proving that he can't keep his personal religious beliefs out of his decisions and is completely compromised as a result.
You know what I want? I want a Sacred Heart of Jesus flag, because I have to look across the lagoon at the Pride flag for the next month.
Exactly.
And he's like, oh, please don't put up a flag.
And then there's Alito's wife, letting her homophobia be known to the entire world. This is who these people are when they're away from the public eye. And given what else we found out about Clarence and Ginny Thomas and the extravagant gifts they have received over the years, we may just be scratching the surface of how deep the corruption runs. A massive shout out again to Lauren Windsor for the brave reporting. Make sure you check out her work at the links below and donate to the Undercurrent if you can to support their work.
This is the dashcam video of another patrol car following Officer Jason Van Dyke's patrol car to the location where Laquan McDonald is shot dead.
They're demonstrating after officials released dashcam video that shows a white police officer fatally shooting a black teenager.
Chicago police officer charged with murdering a teenager, firing 16 shots in 15 seconds.
Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez charging Van Dyke with first-degree murder Tuesday. His attorney refusing to answer questions, only saying,
"This is not a murder case."
Laquan McDonald's family estate attorneys allege in these emails that police officers threaten witnesses and ask them to change their accounts.
We need, as a city, to get to a point where young men in our community and in parts of our city see an officer and don't just see an officer with a uniform and a badge, but they see him as a partner in helping them reach their full potential.
They allege that 3 witnesses, 3 people who witnessed this officer-involved shooting, were taken to the police station. They were held against their will. They were interrogated, one of them for up to 6 hours. And this individual saying that she was only released after she asked for an attorney.
And they see in that officer a mentor, a Little League coach, a leader in the church and in their community, which they are.
Now, hear this. If their accounts would have been included in the police reports, one of them would have said that she said that she was saying, stop shooting, while she was witnessing the officer-involved shooting. And then another account from a truck driver that said he, quote, saw an execution.
Police brutality is a plague in the United States that lawmakers are willing to aid and abet through our tax dollars, funding many of our fellow Americans' own demise. These senseless, heinous acts of violence on behalf of the state inflicted on our countrymen have been brought to the forefront by activists, authors, journalists, movies, documentaries, poetry, and much more. In Chicago, the unjust slaying of 17-year-old Laquan McDonald went global. We all saw the video evidence, but the Chicago Police Department, with many bad faith actors in powerful positions to do their bidding, wanted us to think otherwise. One of those individuals was then Mayor Rahm Emanuel, a man with a cozy relationship to the DNC and handpicked by President Joe Biden to serve as ambassador to Japan. Emanuel, per MSNBC's Chris Ginder, hid the tape of the police's murder of McDonald killed while he fought for re-election in Chicago. Emanuel's administration spent more than a year arguing against releasing footage of the 17-year-old's death to the public, only relenting because of a judge's order. While Emanuel denies ever conducting a cover-up, the Associated Press would put in their piece, "There is no incident in recent Chicago history that has created such distrust of City Hall and the police department than then Mayor Rahm Emanuel's unsuccessful legal battle to keep under wraps the dashcam video showing Officer Jason Van Dyke shoot the teen 16 times." With another unconscionable crime committed, many made their voices heard.
Being in Chicago, and it's like, that's a single degree of separation from me. Like one of my good friends, Paris, Laquan, that was his little bro, you know, from his neighborhood, and just somebody that he would look out for. The police are an evolved slave catcher overseer organization. That's what they do. They repress. And so I kind of wanted to represent with my music video the ridiculousness of emptying so many shots into someone.
Like Chicago artist Vic Mensa, titled 16 Shots. Mensa displays grief, tragedy, corruption, local politics, and oppression. Now, some of you may know him from this.
Do you feel drill is like done? Because you also mentioned that you felt you were a little bit repulsed by the fact that so many people outside the culture of Chicago, they hyped up the music, not knowing that real lives were being affected, deaths and other type of madness happened within the music, and the music was a real life depiction of that. Like, how did you feel about that?
I wanted to slap you in your face, honestly. And I'm just seeing you here, so I'm like, this is a tame environment, so I would keep it to my words, but I really felt as if people exactly like you sensationalized and made a following off of clowning situations that we go through in real life. And I think, you know, they ain't had no right. You know, you specifically, like, you ain't never have a right. Like, whatever made you feel like you had a space to have a perspective on our people dying on a daily basis?
But Vic's lyricism hit hard, especially in this song, with an accompanying video that is even more powerful, which shows Vic getting manhandled by CPD. From nightsticks to tasers, and lastly, a firing squad unloading on him. After each attack, Mensa gets up and continues walking toward police. The images are jarring, even after seeing so many videos of police attacks going viral in recent years. This record is like self-defense, Mensa says of his EP, There's a Lot Going On, which features 16 shots, because to me, Laquan McDonald represents Emmett Till, which represents every name down the line. And since then, a lot of things have changed, but one main thing hasn't changed, is that our lives are not respected. The song would have such an effect that protesters would chant 16 shots as they marched in rally after rally in the city. In addition, he'd tell the Chicago Times, "I never had much faith that Jason Van Dyke would be convicted, because history indicates otherwise. America is a racist empire, so I'm not too surprised they, Van Dyke's legal team, would use my art to influence their legal, illegal proceedings. Yeah, F the police," Mensa said. For the record, a jury found Jason Van Dyke guilty of second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery. However, he would go on to serve less than half of his nearly 7-year prison term for the 2014 fatal shooting of McDonald. It was a pathetic ending. The fact Van Dyke was even convicted and served time was a rarity, as outlined by Vox. Between 2013 to 2019, out of 1,944 police killings of black people, charges were brought in 3% of cases, and less than 1% reached a conviction. Mensa would say of 16 Shots, "That's a song that I've been wanting to write since I was 16 years old. For more than half my life, there has been tension with police. I felt mistrusted, disrespected. I've been a target of police since childhood. And if saying things that I feel I have to say from my life experience reinforces that, so be it. I get searched twice when I go to airports. I get pulled over for driving a nice car because I'm young and black. In the end, it's the same old, same old. That such a tragic song already wanes in timeliness is a testament to the failed promises of post-racial America."